non-otaku.
Vividly remember like places where like the characters are opening their shirts and sort of looking down and being like, that can't possibly be in a video game. That's not allowed. Like, what's happening here? And not understanding what I was looking at for like a really long time. And then being like, oh, damn, like later on. And so, yeah, that when that particular episode came with its like recap opening, I was like, yeah, it was a deep cut for sure. But I was also like, wow, I can't believe they chose to use this. That's so cool.
こんにちは. I am your host Mayu for 2am Otak. In this podcast, we talk all about anime, manga, movies, music, and history through our distinct perspectives. As a born and raised Japanese non-otaku, that's me, and an American anime fan, Cisco.
That's me.
Today, we are taking down the memory lane and dive into the world of Ranma 2分の1, or what are you called?
I'm not totally sure. I think often it's known just as Ranma, but when I was a kid, what I called it and what I think other people called it was Ranma 1/2. It's like a weird way to put it, but that's what I remember thinking its name was, and that's how it's written. So I don't know if you pronounce it like Ranma divided by 2 or something like that, but like I think it's Ranma 1/2.
We both watched the original Ranma in the 80s and 90s as a kid.
For me, it was definitely the 90s when I was watching it. Did it start running in the 80s or is it from the early 90s?
It started from 1989.
Okay.
So probably I watched it in 90s. And now the show came back as the 2024 version. Before we start, please subscribe and follow 2am Otak on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you prefer YouTube, you can also listen to 2am Otak on YouTube as well. If you know somebody who enjoys manga and anime, share this podcast with them. It could be your friends, it could be your siblings, it could be your partners, coworkers, and more.
Or your kids.
Oh, yeah, totally. We can give some recommendations.
I mean, that's what we do in the new Jump Attack podcast is suggest manga to read from the Shonen Jump app.
That's true. We started a new series on 2am Attack talking about Shonen Jump manga, which comes out every Sunday.
That's right.
And Cisco reads all of them.
I do.
He's very dedicated.
Very. 3 straight hours of manga reading every Sunday morning. Oh no, it's so much work.
He clearly enjoyed making the podcast. I'm happy.
You're just like, yeah, I don't read any of them. I just ask questions.
Right. Well, check the Jump Otak too. Okay, let's get into it.
All right.
Ranma was by Rumiko Takahashi.
Yep.
It's a Japanese manga. Rumiko Takahashi also made Urusei Yatsura.
Yep.
What's the name for this in English?
I think it was translated as Those Obnoxious Aliens. But as you can imagine, that title did not stick. And most English speakers also known it as UY, Urusei Yatsura.
That's bad.
I mean, it is, yeah. I mean, how would you translate Urusei? Like loud, noisy?
Okay,
like,
yeah, I get
like,
it.
Urusei Yatsura. I think a literal translation would sort of be like the noisy ones, but like that's even less descriptive about what the heck is going on in the show.
Right, because it's written as a star or a planet.
Yeah. So
it's hard.
So the aliens part like makes sense based on the kanji that are in the title, but it's like I mean, even the other thing about Urusei Yatsura is like so many of the jokes are like about like deep Japanese culture that like the liner notes for like the Urusei Yatsura, subtitled videos were just like huge. Like they would every VHS would come with like a multi-page like packet of information being like, to understand this, here's like all the Japanese stuff you need to understand. Yeah, so she made that also. She also did Maison Ikkoku and Inuyasha, which was like a sort of like became really famous later on.
Right. So this year or last year, Urusei Yatsura rebooted, and then now it's Ranma.
I am really excited that they're remaking Ranma. I hope they give it more than one season. given that like Urusei Yatsura came out and like immediately they started remaking Ranma, like I don't know if that's a good sign or a bad sign.
Like, I didn't really remember what the story is about. I only remembered Rama can become woman and a man
Mm-hmm.
interchangeably, but that's that what
Yes, no, that's true.
that's the only thing I remembered, and
Huh.
it's kind of like itchy, kind of sexy in a way.
It's actually I think that's not actually a good way to describe it. There is a
Yeah,
lot of nudity,
nudity.
but it's not actually very ecchi because like nobody's having sex. Like I mean, there are scenes where people like kiss each other, I suppose, but it's actually quite chaste in terms of like what it portrays as like the sort of like people being into each other, right?
Yeah, but as a kid, like elementary school kid, it's pretty
I mean,
intense.
there was a lot of nudity.
Yeah.
And I think that's really it though. And back in the 80s, I guess you could get away with like nipples.
Hmm.
And so like there are a lot of like exposed nipples in the original Numma,
Hmm.
but not in the update. In the update, they just all had their nipples like I don't know, like just filed off or something. It's like I find it like kind of disturbing actually. Like I don't
Mm.
understand it, and I think it's like it's weird. I think anime went through like a whole phase and over the last like 20 years of like you weren't allowed to show nipples. So there was always like a bizarre like lens flare or like
Right.
random like steam or like
Yeah.
somebody's hair like fell in a particular way so that you like couldn't see any nipples,
Right.
which was sort of like, guys, like what is it about nipples that is apparently scary? Like what's up with that?
I think people sexualize once nipples there.
Why? You can't have sex with a nipple, right?
No.
Like it's not a sex organ.
Nope.
Like I understand, like I guess I sort of understand not wanting to show like a penis or a vagina, but
Hmm.
like what's wrong with a nipple?
I don't know. That's a good question.
So anyway, I think it's like a problem that like that like it's not okay to show nipples. Like I find that like I think it's like bound up with like a cultural like misogyny or like fear of like women, and like I think it's not okay.
Yeah, it's like there are like people out there. You're not supposed to breastfeed in public,
Right. Exactly.
which that's your right. It's your mother's right to feed in
Yeah.
public.
And there's nothing sexual about breastfeeding. So
Nope.
the idea that it's like somehow like not an okay thing to do in public, I think is like ridiculous.
I agree. So that was an interesting choice. Yeah.
So, I mean, on the one hand, like they're not like ridiculously discreetly hiding it. At the same time, like everybody's a mannequin,
Right.
and it's just bizarre.
So I'm not sure. I don't think the original anime had this, but the 2024 version has lots of like sound effect words in
Hmm.
anime.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it looks like manga, but it's anime.
I'm trying to remember the original anime and see if those are in there or not. I feel like they might be.
Yeah.
But you may also be right that this I think they're definitely like more overdone now or like
Uh-huh.
more stylized.
Hmm.
And yeah, that seems like a significant difference.
Which I kind of enjoy.
Yeah, it makes it look sort of more takes it back to like that
Yeah.
sort of time and place and
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
grounds it in like the manga in a nice way.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Also, all the like clothes, hairstyle, and like kitchen, like
Yeah, some of
everything.
the sweaters in particular are
Oh my
extremely
god.
80s. Yeah, it cannot be denied.
It's so 80s and nostalgic. It's pretty good.
I
I don't know
agree.
how like people in like younger generation think about those style.
Hmm.
Do you think they think, oh, it's kind of cool?
So let's go ahead and like clear the room by just saying I have no sense of style like whatsoever. Like you are asking the wrong person questions about style. Also, I am like constantly surprised by what people 20 or plus years younger than me think is like cool, because
Mm.
I'll be like, "Oh, this is like super old and weird." And people be like, "No, it's like very fashionable right now." And I'll be like, "Why?" So,
Mm.
I think it is it could go either way. People could look at it and be like, "Wow, it's so old and dorky," or they could look at it and be like, "Oh my god, like that look is really back in right now."
Mm.
I think it just means like I've lived long enough for the pendulum to like swing both directions, right? So I have no idea. Is the real
Okay.
answer.
Do you think there's a reason why people decided to reboot Ranma 2分の1, which is like an 80s manga in 2024?
That's a really good question. I don't know. I mean, I think both Urusei Yatsura and Ranma were like hugely popular in their heyday. So it might just be, hey, we don't have any good new ideas for anything. Let's just remake this. I don't know. I was about to say that like I think Ranma feels family friendly in some way because it's kind of it's violent. There's like people beating each other up constantly, but there's no like blood. There's no like murder. It's not on the same level as some of the other popular anime. It's like, you compare Ranma one half to Chainsaw Man or Jujutsu Kaisen or like, the other like really big ones of today, even to something like Naruto. And it's a comedy and it's not the violence, isn't permanent in most cases. Like, people will get like beat up and then they'll be better the next day. Right. It's sort of like a gag manga rules. And there's definitely like a nostalgia for the 1980s and 90s right now that's being expressed in people's like interest in 1980s city pop from Japan, right? People sort of nostalgia for stuff that was big in the 90s here in America also. And so I think that might be part of it, that there's just sort of a cultural wave of nostalgia from stuff from this time period. And this was popular then, maybe it'll be popular again now. And I think one of the things that's striking me about Numma is, we're living through a moment in which like trans people are under an enormous amount of attack from like different parts of our culture.
Yeah.
And their sort of, existence is like denied or rejected or criticized, etc. I think like Ranma's a really weird anime because you have a main character who is literally changing back and forth between being a boy and a girl. And like one, it's a really intense gender binary, right?
Yep.
Ranma doesn't get hit with lukewarm water and become like a non-binary person. There's only two. And he goes, it's either he or she and like no middle ground.
Right.
And moreover, it's only Ranma's body that's changing, not, well, I guess I sort of don't know. Female Ranma sometimes acts, quote, like a girl on purpose to like get free food and things.
Yeah.
But Ranma's gender doesn't really seem to change, just their sex, just their body. Their body, his body, I don't know. So I think like it's weird to have it be kind of in conversation with the sort of like ongoing controversy about trans rights. I hate to say controversy, but like I don't know, like conflict, people just being like enormous jerks about it. But like it's so it like it has a literal sex swapping hero, but at the same time like it doesn't really look into that at all. Like it's not actually trying to make any commentary about people who are trans. And I think at the time it was created, like it's hard to know whether the author was, like had that on her radar at all in making the show. And it doesn't seem like it's trying to like comment on it in a significant way. So it's kind of a weird time for it to come back out and like not be updated at all.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like it's like a good topic, good theme,
right?
But it's exactly the same as original.
Yeah, it's just played for laughs. Like, there's no indication that anybody's like thinking seriously about what it might mean to have a body that goes back and forth.
Yeah.
And especially coming out after like other anime like Your Name that also includes like people sort of body swapping and like developing some more empathy for people on the other end of like their gender transition. Like, I don't know, the fact that like that doesn't really happen in Ranma. Like he doesn't spend, he's not an introspective character. He's kind of a meathead, right? But he doesn't spend very much time being like, now that I have like this access into like what it's like to be a girl, I've like better understood like the challenges that women face in our society. Like none of that happens. He's like, what's cool about being a girl? Free food. Woo! And then like, that's it. That's like the level of his depth as, like what he's taking away from being female.
I mean, he's also young, I guess.
Yeah. He's a teenage boy. Yeah. So, but yeah, so I mean, that's what I mean is like it has all this potential for like being an interesting investigation of like culture, society, gender, etc. And like instead, it's a gag show about like, like I got beat up. Let's fight this guy. Like, but I still like it somehow.
Yeah, maybe 2060 or something. They reboot again, and then they change the.
They changed the story a little bit, like a little bit more complex or interesting. Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if they really took it in that direction, it would no longer be like a gag comedy. Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like it handles the issue like disrespectfully. It's just like weird that it's not in there at all.
And it's like available all over the world, right? It's not only in Japan.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Interesting.
Interesting. I mean, in ways, I think Akane is the more interesting character when it comes to like discourse on gender, because she's a girl and she's a cisgendered girl, but she is challenging stereotypes about what it means to be a girl in ways that like Ranma is not. And certainly her sisters, Kasumi and Nabiki, really aren't. They are playing hard into like existing female stereotypes about like moms and material girls. And only Akane is really like sort of suggesting that there's like a different type of way to approach being a girl.
Right.
So, and I guess Ranma as a girl is asking some of those same questions, except that he doesn't experience himself to be a girl. And so the point is kind of moot.
Is there any scenes or moments you liked?
So one of the moments that I really noticed as being different from the original, or at least I think, because I haven't seen the original in decades, actually came in the most recent episode where Ranma as a girl gets kissed by the figure skating character. I can't remember his name already. But the animation right after that happens gets really different. First, it gets like all kind of like wobbly, and then later he has this sort of explosion of rage where they're using really modern animation techniques to like show his like anger and like rage about it. And that really stands out as being like very different from the original. Whereas like the first 2 or 3 episodes honestly felt like almost shot for shot exactly the same as the original. It finally starts to feel like towards the, you know, later episodes, like they're adding some more modern stuff to it and like, you know, and updating at least the visuals a little bit, if not really the story. And so I liked that moment, and that episode in general I thought was like pretty good. A lot of that is like what happens in the original story too, but at least the graphical quality felt like a little bit different, and I thought that was kind of cool.
In that episode, there's towards the end, there's like, I was not trying to kiss you. Like, I know you can't, you can't kiss me. And then like, oh, let's try.
Right.
Like that was so cute.
Right.
And then in the old days, like Showa era or Heisei era, I think people really like acted or talked like that, like very straightforward.
Right.
But now, like, people think too much, I think. They don't like tell their feelings like straight.
Yeah, you said this when we were watching it, and I was like, but neither of them are being honest about their feelings in that scene either.
That's true, but they're still communicating. Like,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so I thought that was like kind of fresh to me, and then
they just seem braver, right?
Yeah,
than like people today. Whereas like that whole idea of like yatte right? Like I'll just do it, like and then like he can't actually do it, but his like bravado and bluster about but I'm gonna is like a thing that you wouldn't see today. Right?
Yeah,
people would be like too afraid to like even have that interaction, much less like try to show off about it, right?
I really like that.
I agree that was like a very cute moment, both because of like the fundamental innocence that it reveals about the characters, and because of like the throwback sort of like nature of the interaction overall.
Also, on episode 4, the opening of this episode started with the video game style. Do you remember Super Nintendo?
Oh yes, yeah. That blew my mind because I had that video game. Maybe only on emulation. No, maybe I'm trying to remember if I had the Super Famicom to Super NES converter, and I think at some point I did. And I definitely played the Super Nintendo Ranma video game as a kid, and vividly remember like places where like the characters are opening their shirts and sort of looking down and being like, that can't possibly be in a video game. That's not allowed. Like, what's happening here? And not understanding what I was looking at for like a really long time. And then being like, oh, damn, like later on. And so, that when that particular episode came with its like recap opening, I was like, yeah, it was a deep cut for sure. But I was also like, wow, I can't believe they chose to use this. That's so cool.
That's amazing. Yeah. So Ranma became video game, and then it also became a TV drama, one-shot TV drama in 2011.
What? I've never heard of this before.
Me neither.
That's a bad sign.
Yeah.
They made a live action.
Yes.
One shot.
Yes.
What is the story even about?
I don't know. I mean, Ranma? I don't know.
But it's just like the first episode as a live action TV show, and then like that's the end. We're just done.
I have no idea.
That is so weird.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there's a reason for one shot.
It is a one shot implies they like planned it, right? It's not like it's not like a 12 episode series that got canceled midway through.
No.
I just can't even. Like, no.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to mention about the voice actors. Almost all main voice actors are original voice actors, which is amazing. Because like at this point, these people are so famous.
Mm-hmm.
For example, Ranma, the boy Ranma is by Kappei Yamaguchi.
Yeah.
Is Usopp, basically.
Usopp, right?
Yeah. And then girl Ranma is Megumi Hayashibara.
Yeah.
Also, Akane is by Noriko Hidaka.
Okay.
She's been doing a lot of stuff, but for me, like My Neighbor Totoro is a big thing. Satsuki.
Sure.
The big sister. And the Nabiki is by Minami Takayama, Detective Conan.
The main character in Conan?
Conan, yeah.
Is Nabiki?
Yes.
That's so weird. All the other ones, I'm like, yeah, no, I knew that. But like this one, I think I didn't know. And also, those characters are so different. I mean, I guess like a lot of these characters are really different from each other, but for whatever reason, that's the one where I like, no, that can't be true.
But like Nabiki's character really reminds me of the character from Kiki's Delivery. There's a friend, older friend who lives with crows.
Yeah.
And that's by Minami Takayama too. Not the same, but similar.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, Ryoga Hibiki is by Koichi Yamadera. He is like a legend. Like he's legend.
But these other people aren't legends?
I mean, other people are legend too, but like he did so many like voices for Hollywood actors
I see.
too.
Yeah.
And then the famous one is like Jim Carrey from Mask.
Are you sure that's not just famous in like your memory?
Probably, but no, he's like famous.
Okay,
he's
all right.
super,
I'll take your word for
famous. It. Yeah, there are characters with new voice actors too, Kodachi.
Sure.
Kuno. It's by Ayane Sakura, who did a voice for Fiona, or like Abiko from Oshi-no-Ko.
Oh, right.
She does a lot of voices, but like I love this character. Like this is such like 80s, 90s character. Like
Yeah, I think like the yandere like trope really changed in the 2000s and became like much more like I don't know. I guess like it's disturbing at any time, but like became like a lot more like kind of like horror-esque, whereas it used to be more comedic.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Kodachi is like an example of like fundamentally, I think she is kind of a yandere, right? But like the ohohoho like ojo-sama yandere is like not a trope that I see as much anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think like modern day yanderes are supposed to be actually scary as opposed to like sort of funny.
Yeah.
If it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, she used a lot of like weapons to try to.
Right. Yeah, she's constantly trying to like poison and like kill people, right? So like, but in a funny way.
Also, like she's gotta be a regular girl, right? I mean, except the fact she's trying to kill those not mine and stuff. But like when she was leaving, like she's hopping to like roof to roof.
Right. The jumping from roof to roof thing is a really great part of that character. I agree.
Oh, let's talk about the opening theme song.
Oh, yeah. So this is actually, in my opinion, the biggest change that they've made in the anime is they picked a new opening theme song, and the animation of the opening theme song is also wildly different from the original.
I don't remember original.
Oh, you don't remember, what is it? Jajauma ni sasenai de?
I don't know.
What?
I don't know.
Oh, I'm surprised that you don't remember it.
Sing it.
No, I can't. It's like even if I remembered it well, I don't think I could because the voice. I mean, I guess like I will grant this. Like the new opening theme song is by Ano, who has one of the most distinct voices in modern J-pop because she sounds like a little girl robot or something. Yeah, like an anime character. And the original also has like a ridiculously high-pitched voice. It's sort of like, I think Jajoma ni Sasenaide to me is sort of like one half the second Rurouni Kenshin opening. Like it's like pitched like that.
Okay.
And
Makoto Kawamoto, yeah.
yeah, and I feel like I knew a lot of the Ranma songs, even though I didn't actually watch that much of the series. I had read random parts of the manga. I owned the first manga volume, the first tankobon. And I had like read a bunch of different parts of it, and I saw all sorts of like random different episodes of the anime, but I never sat down and watched the whole series in order. Anyway, but I knew a lot of the theme songs. I think I had like a Ranma theme songs collection CD at some point.
Wow.
Anyway, yeah, so like the original theme song to me is like very iconic, and it's sort of like, I mean, one, the lyrics are old. Like, don't make, the translation of Jajoma ni Sasenaide is don't make me a shrew. A shrew is a type of animal in English.
Okay.
But it can also mean like, I think like a sort of like old complainy woman. So don't make me I think Jajoma means shrew, right? Like the animal?
What kind of animal?
What is a Jajoma?
Jajoma?
Yeah.
It's not an animal.
What is it?
This is like a metaphoric way. Like a person, especially girls who are like active and then like cause trouble sometimes. Troublesome?
Okay. Well, I guess like shrew probably retains the meaning of like troublesome woman or something, but like there's like a Shakespeare play called The Taming of the Shrew. Like it's a really old word that like modern people wouldn't know. Okay. And so it was like a bizarre choice of like translation for something from like the 80s that's about like teen, you know what I mean? Like it didn't make any sense. Yeah. Anyway, all that to say, the new opening theme song makes way more sense as a Ranma opening theme song. It doesn't have this like weirded, like loaded baggage of like outdated terms. And it's done by like a very modern artist. And it include, the other thing that's nice is the new opening has like some really nice smooth animation of people doing like kung fu, right? And that's like one of the highlights of the new opening that's like paying homage to the fact that like the series is about martial arts, which wasn't captured, I feel like, in the I would need to go back and watch the original animation again, but like I feel like that wasn't like clear from like the original thing. So part of me was sad that it wasn't the same when they'd gone to such lengths to do like so many other parts of it the same, and part of me is like, this was a really wise choice of thing to update. And I like the new opening theme song. I kind of like Ano as an artist, which I don't think you agree with, but but I think she's pretty good. And yeah, I think this song like kind of nailed it in terms of what it was going for.
She did one song for Chainsaw Man ending.
Yes.
What was the name?
The best one. I don't know what the actual, I think the name of that song is like, I don't know. It's something that does not reflect the actual like main lyrics of the song. But the very, very memorable chorus is where she's singing "Get on Chew."
Get
on Chew. But it really sounds, because of the way she's singing, like she's saying "Gero Chew," and "Gero" means throw up and vomit, and it's the ending theme song of the episode.
Perfect.
Where like the girl throws up in his mouth when they're kissing. And so when she's like, get chew, like I watched this with the anime club at school, and like I was like falling off my chair. I was laughing so hard, and everyone else in the room is just like, what the hell is wrong with you? Because none of them got it. So I had to like explain, but like explaining any joke kills it, right? So they're just like, what the hell is so funny? And I'm like, she's saying like throw up kiss. And they were just like, you're weird. So yeah, so Anna did that, and that's like definitely what made me like her as an artist, because that was hilarious.
Interesting. Ano-chan is playing the character from Oshi-no-Ko, the YouTube one. What was the name?
Oh, yeah. Memu-chan. Something like that.
Yeah, and she's perfect in it.
Yeah. That's ideal.
So hopefully we can watch the live action sometime.
The actual play?
Live action TV.
They're making a live action TV of Oshi-no-Ko?
Yes, and the movie.
But they're also doing a live action Tokyo Blade in not stage around.
Yes.
I'm still not over that. Sorry. How how did they miss that opportunity? It's like so.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we going to go see that play?
Huh? No. What?
Okay, that was like a really clear answer. Thank you. Huh? No. That was like that was Momo worthy right there.
I know. I love the character.
Okay. All right. We're not going to see the Tokyo Blade stage play.
I think it's happening. It's going to happen December in Japan.
Oh, this like right coming up?
Yeah.
Oh, so we'd have to go like right now. No. And it's not going to keep playing for like a year?
No, it's like only a short period of time.
I guess I don't know this for a fact, but I think for Broadway shows in America, if you open a new show and it's a hit and people keep buying tickets, like it just runs forever.
I know. Yeah.
So I'm not used to the concept of like, oh yeah, we're going to do a play, but like we're only doing, I mean, I guess like smaller plays, they have like a limited run and they run for like a month or two and then they close and go to another city or something, or they're just over. So, yeah. Okay, I guess I get it, but I'm sad that we won't have even the option of going to see it.
Okay, let's do word of the day. Today's word of the day is
Iinazukkyun. It means fiance. And this is again one of those like kind of like big vocab words that I learned really early on in studying Japanese because of anime. What's that?
Ranma?
I think because of Ranma, yeah. Because they say it all the time in the show.
Right.
Because Ranma and Akane are betrothed, meaning their parents decided that they would marry each other. Which is like a trope showing up in a lot of like 80s and 90s Japanese anime, even though I don't think it was like a thing in the culture anymore, right? Did you know anyone in like your parents' generation whose parents set them up and forced them to get married?
Maybe, could be not my generation, but my parents.
Really?
Yeah, could be.
I could see your grandparents' generation.
Oh, like my grandparents, like they met for the first time at their wedding.
Yeah, that was messed up.
Yeah,
and they also got divorced.
Yeah, it didn't go well.
So, just saying. But like in your parents' generation even?
Maybe. Could be a possibility.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, it's an interesting thought. And it like, so it's I don't know, because it's like it's a thing that doesn't really happen anymore. It's unusual to like, I think, know this word in that way. Especially because like in modern Japanese, I think people are more likely to say fiance than they are to say Iinazukkyun.
Or konyakusha.
Or konyakusha,
yeah.
Right? Engaged.
But a fiance sounds cooler.
Right. Well, and what is the difference between Iinazukkyun and konyakusha?
Iinazukkyun has the meaning of, like you said, parents. And
parents set it up.
Right?
Set
it up.
Yeah, it's not just people who are engaged. It's like a betrothal where the parents made the decision. Yeah. Anyway, I thought that would be a good word of the day, both because it's a very important word in the show in describing Ranma's relationship to at least two different women, although one of them hasn't been introduced and I'm not sure we'll make it to the season. And also because the new opening theme song is titled Iinazukkyun.
Iinazukkyun.
And there we have a portmanteau of Iinazuke and Kyun, which is like...
Zukkyun.
Huh?
Iinazuke and Zukkyun.
What's Zukkyun?
I don't know how to describe. Like
Kyun is like your heart.
Kyun is like small. Zukkyun is like deeper.
Oh, like deep in your heart?
Yeah.
Like a tightening of your heart deep in your heart?
Yeah.
Okay. So both you're engaged and also like doki doki a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess we should probably do doki doki, which means heart beating, but like, okay.
Yeah.
So that's Iinazuke, and I thought it would be a good one for today.
All right, perfect. Check your local library if you're interested in reading this week's anime as manga form with your library card. You can do that. Thank you so much for listening to this.
Oh, wait. I have one more thing to say.
What's up?
If you read the old Ranma manga, it has nipples.
Okay. What? Okay.
Just saying. Free the nipple.
Free the nipple. Good to know that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we're pro nipples. Yes. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episodes. If you like this week's episodes, please give us 5 stars on Spotify.
Yeah, this one was worth 5 stars. I'll join you. This one.
and the Apple Podcast, or like and leave a comment on YouTube. We made a new 2 a.m. Otak YouTube channel, so it's designated for English listeners.
Nice.
So it's separated from Japanese one, which is 3 a.m. If you're interested in, listening both, make sure to subscribe both channels. See you next time for more 2 a.m. Otak.
Peace out.
Bye.